How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Godzilla card game video here on Red Zone Rogue. In today's video, we're going to be upgrading these with this. That's right, we're going to be upgrading the two Godzilla card game starter decks with the Booster Set 2. In fact, we're going to be using the cards that we opened in our G-Monsters Raid Again unboxing video to upgrade these decks. So you can kind of think of this as just a fun upgrading video using cards from set 2 to upgrade the starter decks. If you have gone out and purchased the starter decks for yourself and maybe you bought a box or two of set 2, this is kind of, you can kind of follow along with me and maybe upgrade your decks as well. There's some really cool cards in set 2, so yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And before we get started, I do want to give a huge shout out to Bushiroad and the Godzilla card game for sponsoring today's video. Thank you so much. And without further ado, let's get started. This game actually really rules, so I'm excited to do this. Let's go. All right, I'm excited to get to this. We have the Heisei series deck as well as the Godzilla -1 deck. The Heisei series deck is, I would say, the more defensive deck, right? This deck can win by invading, but it can also win by countering our opponent's monster and kind of leans into that strategy a little bit more. This deck wants to counter our opponent's monster, so we want to have good battle cards and good cards that perhaps set our opponent back a little bit, make them move backwards. So we're going to be doing that with some of the upgrades from set 2 here for the Heisei series deck. Now for the Godzilla -1 deck, this deck is a lot more aggressive. We want to win the game by invading, just stomping along all the spaces until we can punch through and get to our opponent's side of the board and win, like I said, through invading. So we want cards that help with that, cards that are either really, really powerful or cards that can destroy our opponent's battle cards or advance us even further. So that's kind of the direction that we're going to be taking with the upgrades for both of these decks. Like I said, all the upgrades are going to be from the two G-Monsters Raid Again booster boxes that I opened in the previous video. So these are all just kind of like found cards that I got from those boxes, which is always a really fun experience. It actually takes me back in a lot of ways to my childhood, like upgrading decks that I would get from various card games, and Godzilla itself was a large part of my childhood, so this has just been a very nostalgic thing for me. So let's get to it. So here is the Godzilla -1 deck. We are actually going to be keeping the same monster cards in our main monster deck. You can change these out, and you do have some options, but I felt that doing so for this particular deck took it into a little bit of different directions that I didn't really want to go to. You can use all of the new Shin Godzilla stuff, but we didn't pull enough support for that. So we're going to be sticking with our main cards here, which care about rage, and once again, it's aggressive. We want to invade. For both of these decks, I actually went ahead and already did this because I'm such a big fan of the rage cards. I went and I just got a big bunch of all of the rage cards. One of all the ones that I have so far, at least if I had like duplicates or anything like that, shared between the two. So have all the rage cards. They look really, really sweet. Not part of this upgrade, just something you can do, but I really like the rage cards, and I think they're really, really cool. These are also all the cards that we are going to be keeping in the deck. Now, I'm not going to be going over them all individually, but as you can see, we did keep a lot of the two monster cards, just because we didn't have a lot of alternatives for these. And we kept some of the other powerful ones that had really good burst abilities and really good on enter abilities. This deck is going to have a lot more monster cards than the Heisei series deck, just because we want to, have these cards to either upgrade our Godzilla for the turn, or if we, or through burst, or use these as rage. Yep. And then we're also keeping a lot of the battle cards, such as Heat Ray. Heat Ray is just really, really good, as well as battle cards that give us more advantage by destroying some of our opponent's stuff. This one destroys one of our opponent's rank 6 or lower battle cards whenever we increase our rage for the turn, which is really, really solid. And then we're also keeping some of the lower costed 2 battle cards, as well as this 7 Godzilla, which is fairly solid. So we're keeping these ones in the deck. What are we going to be swapping up? What are we going to be upgrading? All right, so here I have all the cards that I'm adding to the deck and all the cards that we're removing from the deck. Essentially, we're removing cards that I felt that either didn't have as much of an impact as we would like, or just not as good as some of the stuff that we're going to be adding in. And as you can see here, we're adding in like a decent chunk just from 2 booster boxes. So it's a nice little additional increase. So let's talk about some of the more generically good ones here. Now here we have some higher rank battle cards, and some of these are extremely good for what we are doing. We have this rank 6 Rodan, 2004 Rodan. If this card is in a zone with the same number as a zone that is your opponent's monster occupies, this gets another 3,000 counter power. This is just a nice little, card that helps us counter our opponent's stuff. This is a really good one to just kind of maybe stick in the final zone, zone 8, so we can kind of like pump it up and have like a little bit of a better wall. But all in all, just fairly solid. And this will be replacing some other just what I'm going to call like solid counter power cards. Doesn't really further a game plan, just helps us prevent our opponent from winning. Next up, we have the Cabinet Helicopter. These are both the same card, just different artwork. This one it looks like it's a little bit more on fire than this one. We'll do the regular version of this card. So it's a rank 6, 3,000 counter power, but what is more important is that it says on enter, send the top card of your deck to the discard pile. If it is a monster card, advance our monster card to zone 6. Super, super good if we get countered, or if we get pushed back, or if we're not even at zone 6 yet. This is just a nice ability to just zip up to 6, which is pretty far ahead. So I really like this card a lot, and we're putting 3. Any cards that can just advance us just straight up, I think are really strong in aggressive decks like this. Next up, we have Manila, which is a rank 5 card. This one says on enter, if our monster card has 2 or more rage, advance our monster card to zone 5. Once again, any card that lets us advance, I think is really, really strong. And I think this is also quite strong. So we are running the 2 that we opened in our box for this. We also have Gabara. I think we have oh no, we are running 3. I thought there was 3 in here. I thought there was 3. Yeah. So we're putting 3 in here. And then we have Gabara. Manila got kind of stuck behind the 3 Gabaras. So Gabara is rank 3, 2,000 counter power, and it says if our monster has 2 or more rage, this gets 3,000 counter power. We really want a lot of rage. So once again, this just kind of like helps us with the early counter power and all that kind of good stuff as well. So that's worthy to note. I should also mention for Manila, we have the 2 movement for the invade icon down here for the bottom, which is really, really good. So anytime we can have cards that have more than 1, I think are really good for decks like this. Which is going to lead me to, well, this card. We'll talk about that one in just a second. So now we have some of the monster cards we're adding. We're not adding too many monster cards. We're adding some. This one is one of the new SRs, which we were really lucky to pull. The Godzilla 2023 rank 4 SR. So this one has burst 3, and it says when this card is discarded by the effect of a burst, return this card from our discard to our hand. So it kind of keeps coming back, which is sweet. And then it says when invading, your opponent discards cards until they have 3 cards remaining in their hand, which is also pretty sweet. So this is a nice little burst for us, and it has a 35,000 power. This was a pretty nice one. And they're rounding it out with Godzilla 1969. So this one is a rank 3. 24,000, has the 2 movement, which is sweet. Burst 4, and it says whenever this card's rage is increased, destroy all of our opponent's rank 6 or lower battle cards in the same zone with the same number as the zone that this card occupies, which is a pretty good effect. This is one of the ones that I think you could test around adding this to your your monster deck here, but I don't know. I like sticking with what we have here, because what we have here still works really, really well for the strategy. But I would recommend you kind of like messing around and testing with different things. But this is what we're going to be doing for our particular deck. And then we have our strategy cards. So we have some pretty nice strategy cards here. I actually really, really like this Destructive Impulse. I think it's really good in the deck. So let's talk about this one first. So this one says, perform the following action based on how many zones your monster card advanced through your invasion this turn. So those 2 movements are going to be really, really good for this card in particular. So if it's 0, destroy all our opponent's rank 2 or lower battle cards. If it's 1, destroy all of our opponent's rank 4 or lower battle cards. And if it's 2, we destroy all of our opponent's rank 6 or lower battle cards. And destroying all of our opponent's battle cards rank 6 or lower is extremely good for the deck because that's what we want to do to help, you know, lower their counter power so we can just continue to push on through. So we put all 3 versions, including this, this foil version that we got in the deck. And then we're also adding in there is no danger of the creature coming ashore. This one says move 1 battle card in our one of our zones to an unoccupied zone. If our monster card invades this turn, advance your monster by an additional zone. This is sweet because we get to move some battle cards around, perhaps so we don't accidentally stomp on them, but also we get to advance an additional time, which is just extremely good with this kind of deck. So we are putting both of our copies that we got in the booster boxes into this deck. The cards we're going to be removing, we have 1 copy of this rank 4 Godzilla 2023. This one just has the invading. If there's 2 or more rage, your opponent discards down till they have 2. I like the new LR card that we have more, but though this one does have that 2 movement, which is pretty sweet. We're also removing these 2 rank 3 Godzillas. That just says if it has 2 or more rage, it gets an additional threat level. I just like the other cards a little bit more, being able to destroy battle cards, but I feel like it's destroying battle cards is a little bit more ubiquitous than increasing our rage, for example. Our opponents are almost always going to be in battle cards. For the strategies, we are taking out 2 Operation Watatsumis. This is a pretty high rank one. Our opponent discards cards till they have 2 remaining in their hand. We already have a bunch of effects like this, and I feel like our other ones that we're adding, our strategies that we're adding, kind of like help us a little bit more, helping advance our monster. And they're also removing Godzilla Emerges. Now, I think this card's all right, but once again, I think the other cards that we are adding help us a little bit more. So this one says if our monster card has 2 or more rage, we search our deck for a battle card named Godzilla 2023, then play it, then we shuffle our deck, which is not bad. It's a nice little search, but I think I like what we're doing with the new cards a little bit more. And then for the battle cards, we are removing like a good number of, well, it's just these 3 cards essentially. So it's 4 copies of the City of Tokyo, 4 copies of the Godzilla 2023, the rank 5, and then 4 copies of Reinforcements. Now Reinforcements is just kind of like it's just a stat stick, has Awakening 4, so it just gets a nice little counter power boost. But once again, we kind of want to be either having really high counter power or just cards that help us either destroy our opponent's battles or advance us, that kind of stuff. We're also removing 4 copies of this Godzilla 2023. This one says on enter, if our monster card has 2 or more rage, reduce our opponent's rage by 1. I feel like that's somewhat situational. They might not have any rage at all. And it says when this card is destroyed, place this card on the bottom of your deck instead, which is a fine effect, but once again, it doesn't help us further a game plan like the other cards do. And this one is City of Tokyo, rank 6. If a monster card has 2 or more rage, your other battle cards in this zone, or in zone 8, get 5k counter power, and then it also has Awakening, but it has a base of 0. So this one is a little bit dubious and a little bit situational, which is why I chose to put stuff like the helicopter in and Rodan in over this. So yeah, these are the upgrades that we're going to be doing for the Godzilla -1 deck. So we were removing all these and adding all of these ones in. I think it'll be a bit more consistent and a bit more aggressive and threatening. And then for the Heisei series deck, now this one, once again, we are going to be keeping what I'm going to call the Godzilla ride line, the Godzilla deck here. And as before, we also upgraded the rage cards as well, or just added a lot more rage cards. I wouldn't say upgraded, it's all personal preference. This one, we're going to be keeping a decent amount of cards here. Generally speaking, we want cards that increase our counter power, but we also have like this evolution sub-theme as well. So we are adding some more evolution cards to this, and they help with the, adding in the additional counter power. So these are the monster cards that we are keeping in the deck. We're sticking with Godzilla. We're not going for Biolante or anything like that, though you could potentially. So we are keeping in these three rank 3 Godzillas. On enter, Godzilla 1992 specifically, play 2 rank 4 or lower battle cards with evolution from your discard pile in zones adjacent to this card. I think it's super good and really good for this deck in particular because we have a lot of evolution cards. So this one is really, really sweet. We are keeping in the Godzilla 1993 rank 3. This one says when invading, reduce our opponent's rage by 1, which is pretty good. So when this is out there and when we do the invade, we get a reduced rage, which is fairly decent against the aggressive decks. And then we are keeping in this rank 4 Godzilla, which says when invading, discard 1 card from our hand, destroy all of our opponent's battle cards with rank equal to or lower than the card's discarded rank. This just helps us if we want to keep pushing with our own invasion. It's not super core to the strategy, but can be an alternate win con for this particular deck. And then we're keeping in a lot of the evolution cards. So we have this Mothra Larva 1992. So this is an evolution 5. So at the beginning of our main phase, we can go search for a rank 5 or lower Mothra, and it comes on top of this. So we are keeping the level 2, and then we also have this level 5 Mothra to go get, which is pretty solid because on enter, if it was played through evolution, we can draw a card, and it has that 5k counter power, which is pretty solid. And then for another evolution, we have Batra. This Batra has evolution 6. And then once you evolve, you get this Batra Imago. And this one has awakening 6. So it has 8k counter power if your monster card is in zone 6 or beyond, which is pretty solid. So just nice counter power there. We're also keeping in Heat Ray as we did with the -1 deck, just really good at blasting our opponent's stuff. We are keeping in Legend of Infant Island, which lets us go evolve one of our cards with evolution without having to wait, which is really good. We have the evolution cards, and we're adding more evolution cards in, so we're still running a 4 of these. And then I just think this card is really good. Both it looks awesome, and the effect is really, really good. We choose one of our opponent's zones, and you destroy all our opponent's battle cards in that zone and zones adjacent to that, which is wild. So very, very strong. Especially if they have like pesky battle cards, or if we're playing against another deck that kind of focuses on this. So these are the cards we're adding. These are the cards we are removing. So what are we adding? We have a lot of nice cards we're adding here. So we're going to be adding in this Godzilla 1996 rank 6 super rare as SR. We actually got 2 of them, which is really, really cool. I think this card's great, and the art is fantastic. So this is a, like I said, rank 7. At the beginning of our end phase, if this card is in a zone adjacent to your monster card, one of our opponent's monster cards with 40,000 or more or less threat level retreats back by 1 zone. Anytime you can force your opponent to retreat is extremely good, and yeah, we're keeping these. So that's like kind of like an extra layer on top of countering. Just forcing them to retreat is really strong. And then we're also adding in this Biolante Beast form. Now, let me go grab the Rose form here because that's fairly relevant here. So let's talk about the Rose form first. Rose form is just a rank 4, and it has evolution 7. So we can go get a Biolante rank 7. So we opened up 3 of these, which is pretty nice. And then we opened up 2 of the rank 7 rare Biolantes. So we can run 3 of these and then 2 of these as I bump the camera in the deck. This card I think is really, really sweet. Not only does it have a 5k counter power, on enter if we have 2 or more cards with Biolante in our discard pile, which we could have. We have some Biolante cards. We return all cards in our opponent's discard pile to their deck and shuffle. That's an okay effect. But what I like more is the second enter, where it just says, we play 2 tentacle tokens in zones adjacent to this card, and you just get the tokens. So what are the tokens? Well, they're just 3,000 counter power, and you get 2 of these. So you actually get a 5k and then 2 3ks for this 1 card, which I think is super, super strong. So the tokens don't go in your deck. The tokens, you just pull them from outside of the game. So that's super sweet. So we're adding in these 2 Biolante plant forms, or plant beast forms. Let's talk about, before we get to Mothra, we have a Super X3. This is super simple. It just says if this card is in Zone 8, this card gains an additional 3k counter power. So that's an 8k counter power in Zone 8 for rank 6. Not too bad. Just to help stave off our opponent's aggression. And then we have 2 more super rares. We have this Mothra Imago 2003. This is a rank 7 on enter. If this card is in the same column as our opponent's monster card, reveal the top 2 cards of our deck and add all rank 5 or lower battle cards among them to our hand and send the rest to our discard pile. Super, super strong. Can get a bunch of cards and just help us amass an even more powerful board and battles until we can counter our opponent. So I really like this Mothra. And important to note, that Mothra is rank 7. And our larva only has evolution 5. So we can't go from this one to this one. We can only go from the larva into our 5 here. So just keep that in mind. So it doesn't synergize like that, but I still think it's a really good card for this deck in particular. And then we have 4 monster cards that we are swapping. The first one is another SR. We got a lot of SRs for this deck, which is really, really nice. We're lucky to pull some good stuff here. This is the Godzilla 1999. Once again, looks really, really cool. This is a rank 4. It says, on enter, if you have 5 or more monster cards in your discard pile, one of our opponent's monster cards with 50k or less threat level retreats back by 1 zone. Super, super powerful. And then, if we have 10 or more monster cards in our discard pile, this card gets an additional 10k threat level, and it has 34k. Just super good. Once again, being able to push our opponent back 1 zone is really, really strong. So this one's very good. We also have this additional Godzilla rank 4. This one says, when invading, if you discarded a blue battle card for this card's invade cost, you may play that battle card from your discard pile. Crazy good. This one is a very nice one. If I got more of these, I would be running them, but alas, we only pulled 1 of these, so it's super good. And then we're running these 2 rank 2 Godzilla 1993s that have 2 movement, which is pretty cool. This one says all of our rank 5 or lower battle cards in zones adjacent to this card gain +3 counter power, which is nice. So we can play this, and then we get that additional counter power to adjacent zones, which is, yeah, super, super good. It's a little bit risky, you are surrounding your Godzilla and he's going to stomp one of them potentially, but still quite good. So yeah, as you can see, we want to increase our counter power or make our opponent retreat, which is exactly what this deck wants to do. Now the cards we are removing are fairly simple. So for the monster side of thing, we're just removing these 4 rank 4 Godzillas. That just says for each strategy card our opponent has in play, this one gets 5k threat level. It can be pretty big, but it's really situational. Our opponent might not have that many strategy cards, and we'd rather do other things like push our opponent back, for example. So we are going to be removing these 4. And then for the battle cards, we're moving a very simple Destroya. I think Destroya is not bad, but for our particular deck, it's not exactly what we want to do. I could see you potentially swapping this for something else and playing around with it, but it just doesn't do anything. It just has a nice 13k counter power, so it's not too bad, and it has the movement of 2, which is also not too bad. So this is the one that I'm like, maybe. We also have Mechagodzilla, which is a card that I like, but I like the cards we're adding a little bit more. This is a rank 7, 5k, and if our opponent has a monster card with rank 4 or higher, it gets an additional 5k. And if this card is in the same column as our opponent's monster card, it gets an additional 3k. So it can actually be up to Destroya if we fulfill those requirements. But once again, I like the other cards more. I just like the simplicity of, Biolante going and getting big Biolante, which, fills the board. It's not quite as big as Destroyer, right? We get 5k and 2 3ks, but it's a little bit easier to play, and I think I just like it. Also, it's a rank 7, so I think it works fairly well. And we have these other cards that just actually just push our opponent's monster back, which are crazy good, or cards that just put a lot of stuff in our hand. The only contentious one here is this one, but I think 8k counter power for rank 6 is quite strong. Though I can see argument for maybe putting in like a 1 destroy it instead. But that's what like playtesting and stuff is for. And the final 4 cards we are removing are the Super X, which just has Awakening 4. And then enter, if this card is in Zone 8, we reduce our opponent's rage by 1. It's an okay card, but I think it's a little situational. And like I said, I like these other effects a little bit more. Kind of went a little bit deeper on that than I thought, but I'm actually really enjoying the Godzilla card game. I think it's super unique and super, super fun. I like the back and forth between like countering and invading and trying to build your deck around these types of strategies. I really wanted to go more all in with this type of strategy, with like countering our opponent or pushing them back. And I think some cards like this Godzilla 1999 can help with it, or even these really sweet Godzilla 1994 super rares. And then on this side, we just have like the aggression and the invasion, which I think is also quite strong and a lot of fun to play as well. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Let me know if you'd like to see more Godzilla card game content here on the channel. I want to give another big shout out and thank you to Bushiroad for sponsoring this video. I'm always happy to talk about Godzilla. I think this is just like I said, super cool and super underrated game. Let me know what kind of decks and brews you are building and what you'd like to see more of. So thank you all so much for watching. Yo, these are super cool. This one, even though it's like really dark, I don't know, it's cool. I like the looming thread. I like the looming thread of Godzilla, and I swap as I go to this Godzilla Destructive Impulse. Look at that. Look at he's so cute and destructive. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.